Nobody wins when the family feels.
Jonathan Quillis told his brother, I have to get rid of the body. This came out during trial. Quillis, Ayanna Sawyer.
They're going to give me the needle.
The dumpster's at my job. I control what gets dumped.
The state says these are Jonathan Quilles's own words. In his defense, attorneys say the state's version of this case doesn't have the evidence.
State will not be able to prove premeditated murder because they can't prove she's dead in the first place.
Quilles is accused of raping, impregnating, and killing his niece, Ayanna Sawyer. The court showed photos of the unborn child.
And had she been named?
Yes.
And what was that name?
Hazel Michelle Mobley.
Sawyer's mother took the stand. She said Sawyer told her someone named Jose was the father. The state says Sawyer's sister will testify Jose is Quilles. Sawyer's grandmother on the stand testified during Thanksgiving 2018. She saw Quilles intimately hugging Sawyer.
He was hugged up. When he was hugged, he was hugged. His hands was around, he was hugged. They was in a full embrace. And when they seen me, it startled him.
Would you describe the type of hug that the best you can with your own words, the type of hug this was?
It was like a full embrace, like a full body embrace.
Did it appear to be a hug like an uncle should be giving?
No.
Quilles arrives to work at about 7:44 a.m. He goes to the normal employee parking lot. Then he's seen going into the office, then coming out wearing a full-body rain suit. It's a very bright color. He gets into a tractor, then starts moving this red car. Then he changes the forks of the tractor to a bucket on the front end. Then drives towards the employee parking lot and storage area that's not seen on the cameras. The tractor comes out to a dumpster to switch out the truck. Quilles hops out, goes to the truck, then gets back in the tractor, directing the driver to the back. The dumpster truck makes the switch, and Quilles leaves at about 2:45 p.m. Here's how the defense breaks down his movement on that day.
Wouldn't be uncommon for him to fill in several different positions. He's very talented, yes.
That wouldn't be abnormal whatsoever, him working with another employee on some project or a duty.
No, especially with our two-man process, it would be common.
Okay. And then I want to ask you about that vehicle that we saw him carrying, that red vehicle that we saw him carrying. So when he brings that vehicle, he's not also processing that vehicle, correct?
No, he isn't.
So when he drops that vehicle off, someone else is emptying out that vehicle of any garbage or trash or whatever the contents of the inside of that vehicle are, correct?
Yes, ma'am, yes. He wouldn't be moving and processing it. That would be odd.
I live tasting you with my tongue. I love your moans. You don't want to be with me no more.
My bad for the long intro, family. But I'm going to need y'all verdict at the end of this video. Now, as of 9/20/2023, it's no verdict. So I watched all 6 days of the trial. I managed to take away the most key factors and bring it to you guys' attention. You're talking about 6 days, roughly 8 hours apiece, and I managed to bring you guys all that under 2 hours. And based on the facts presented, I want you guys to let me know, is this man guilty or not guilty? And when the verdict come in from that jury, I'll make sure I present it. But we in Florida again, family. And remember, for premeditated M1, all the jury need to vote is guilty 8 times, and he get the lethal injection. But if he responsible for these crimes that the state brought against him, allegedly, man, I don't feel no sympathy for him. And I'm quite sure you guys gonna feel the same way. So before we go into this one, remember, I don't give you no aim. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna jump right to it. It's been 5 years since Ayanna Sawyer was last seen. To this day, she haven't been located, but it seems authorities believe she passed away. And 5 years later, her family will soon face the jury and see what they be able to get, some form of closure and some form of justice. Ayanna was pregnant at 15. She was 5 months pregnant when she was last seen. Now the state believe her uncle by marriage to her aunt, who she always stayed over to spend the night, 39 years old today, Jonathan Quillis. Now you'll later find out he actually ended up misappropriately, allegedly, according to text messages, fondling with her younger sister as well. And the state believe Jonathan is the father. And besides the obvious, she's a minor, they believe the motive of her losing her life is so his rep wouldn't be ruined to his family. And also the obvious, she's a minor. And let's not forget, Jonathan was married and living with her aunt. And some would say, real talk, can you do such thing for a long period of time in the household that you married to someone in and they not know nothing? Well, that's true, but in this case, we have no definite answer, family, so I can't give you one. I'll let you guys be the judge of that one. But what we do know, after he got an indictment in 2018, his wife got a divorce. Now, I know you guys wondering, by this point, what about Ayanna's mother, Miss Kimberly? Well, I figured you guys would want to hear from her, so I have her on the stand being cross-examined by the state and the defense. And I also got the text message that was read by the sheriff. But before we play those two clips, I think it's important we take about 20 minutes out of the hour opening statement from the state and 20 minutes out of the hour of the opening statement from the defense and give it to you guys. I'm gonna make sure I come in between both. I wanna make sure we all stay on point. So first thing first, check out the opening statement from the state.
S will not say to her mother who the father is. So, Kimberly Mobley takes her daughter after learning on December 3rd that her 16-year-old daughter is pregnant. Obviously, at the time of conception, she was 15, because you're going to hear that IS's birth date was September the 6th, 2002. So in July of 2018, she would have been 15. By the time December 2018, she was 16. Kimberly Mobley sets up her first appointment to find out about the pregnancy. You are going to hear from Dr. Amanda Atchu. She is the doctor that had that appointment, and that appointment was on December the 13th of 2018. So 10 days after learning. Dr. Atchu is going to tell you all that she was approximately 22 and a half weeks pregnant. She also sent off to find out the gender, which was followed through, as Kimberly Mobley also, she was there present at all of the appointments. And it was determined that she was going to have a girl. And in fact, you are going to hear that the family had already named the unborn child of IS. Her name was going to be...
Objection, Your Honor. Legal basis? Speculation and inflaming the jury. Overruled.
May it please the court. That her name was going to be Hazel Michelle. And that is important, ladies and gentlemen, because that's count 2. We are alleging that the defendant killed an unborn child. And you're going to hear that the approximate birth date, due date, was April the 12th of 2019. Then, thinking about that time frame in December, confirmation of pregnancy on December 13th, it's spreading now through the family of Kimberly Mobley, because you're going to hear Kimberly Mobley has a large family. She has 4 sisters. She has a brother. And of course, you've already heard that one of her sisters, Naomi, was married at the time to the defendant. So the news of IS being pregnant is now through the family. It is now learned. Kimberly Mobley is trying to find out who the father is. She will not disclose. So in thinking about that, you're also going to hear from Nancy Ware. Again, that is the paternal grandmother. You are going to hear from Jametta Mobley, Margie Mobley, in regards to the family dynamic, in regards to the communication aspect, because Kimberly Mobley is going to tell you all that when she did the math of December 13th back to 22 and a half weeks, it was approximately the time frame of July 7th weekend. And Kimberly Mobley is going to tell you that weekend was of an important weekend because that is the grandmother's birthday. Mother of Kimberly Mobley, grandmother of IS. And that Kimberly Mobley is going to tell you all that that time frame after that party, that her daughter had went and stayed at the defendant's house. That's where she put the math back. Because what you're also going to hear is that Naomi Mobley and the defendant, they had a daughter at the time. Her name was Nia. And you're also going to hear that Naomi was the breadwinner. She's the one that had the full-time job. Now, the defendant worked. Please, I'm not trying to say that he didn't. But she had the full-time job that kept her out of the house quite a bit. So, IS and ISS, while their mother, Kimberly Mobley, would be at work, they would go often to the home of the defendant. You're going to hear that IS was a creature of habit. She would go to school. She would come home. Sometimes she would go to her father, Willie Sawyer's house. You will hear from him as well. He's also here locally in the area. But mainly school, home, and the defendant's home. The defendant would be watching over them while their aunt and their mom was at work. And then they would also help with the young daughter of the defendant, their baby cousin. And you're going to hear that this was throughout a period of time. Then you're also going to hear that, though, from December 19th, 2018, no one has heard from her. Chick-fil-A, where she worked, you're going to hear she never picked up her last 2 checks. A teenager, right before Christmas, never picking up her paychecks. Her phone, when she left Terry Parker High School on December 19th, her phone shows you it's turned off. Never heard from again. Banking with Navy Federal Credit Union. No banking activity post December 19th, 2018. Submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear from the family, her inner circle, her world. You're going to hear from her friends that she's known. She had a close-knit group of friends. You're going to hear from some of them. Nobody in this 16-year-old's circle, you will hear that no one has heard from her since December 19, 2018. So you're going to hear that missing persons started investigating this case on December the 21st, 2 days later. And then you're going to hear shortly thereafter, it went to homicide. And you're going to hear from Detective Billy Abbott. He was the one assigned to the case. But ladies and gentlemen, fast forwarding, this case, you were going to hear broke open because the defendant's biological brother called Jacksonville Sheriff's Office on January the 8th, 2019. You're going to hear from Joseph Quillis, his biological brother who lives in New York. Joseph Quillis called to tell JSO that his brother, the defendant, called him back in December 19th or 20th. He said he couldn't remember the exact date, and told him that the girl might be pregnant. I cannot lose my family. If she has the baby, I have to get rid of the body. Joseph Quillis is going to tell you that the defendant was having an inappropriate sexual relationship with his underage niece. He thought the baby could be his. The family was pressuring for the identity of the father. Asked about an abortion. The family did not want an abortion. The pressure is on. The defendant has her come to his work because he works at Ace Pick-A-Part, and you're going to see some photographs to kind of get an understanding. It is a large area off of North Main Street where people can come and get parts. They crush vehicles, have tires. Yes, you're going to hear there's video surveillance there, and you're going to see some of it. But guess what? The defendant knows that it doesn't capture everywhere. There are areas for the public, and there are areas just for employee personnel. The defendant says, I have her come to my work. I have her come to back area where no one can see her. This is what he tells Joseph Quiles. I submit you're going to hear. He tried to strangle her, but said he couldn't stomach it, so he shot her. Even when asked, well, how did no one hear that shot? Well, it's loud, all the machinery. Well, what did you do with your body? Joseph Quiles, again, does not know about ace pick apart at all, ladies and gentlemen. Stated that his brother told him, I submit to you're going to hear, he put her body in a container, a dumpster that was being collected. And lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear, on December 20th, 2018, a dumpster was collected. That dumpster then was tracked to the Otis landfill. And you're going to hear that the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office spent 16 tirelessly days there. However, it was a disadvantage already. The defendant said he killed her on or about between that 19th and the 20th. And when I say on or about, because, ladies and gentlemen, not only I submit you will hear from Joseph Quiles, you are going to hear that the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office homicide detectives put a wire on Morris McClendon. And George Jackson was present. And on the wire, that's also where I talked about those statements that I first started out with. And then the defense even asked in the wire, submit to you, well, what if something happens with that container? The defendant talks about, well, I've got the elements to my advantage. It's been raining. And you will even see on the ACE video pick apart, it's raining. You'll see the defendant. He's going to be in a rain suit. Bright neon. Pretty easy to pick out. I submit to you. Again, make your own assumptions later. It's raining. It's the holiday time. And by the time detectives find out on the 8th, there's already been a couple of weeks. And I submit to you common sense, and you will hear from testimony, that garbage is piling up at that landfill. And by the time Jacksonville Sheriff's Office can get there and start, it's January 15th. Several days, couple weeks later. And you're going to hear, ladies and gentlemen, we own it. We did not find IS. However, there were items found at the landfill. Because what you're also going to hear is that IS liked the brand Victoria's Secret, and that she left with several items of her Victoria's Secret brand that she had. And there are a couple things that the family will point out, Kimberly Mobley and Samaya Sawyer, that is in fact IS's. But you're also, and you're going to hear about the firearm. The defendant talks about, I used my 9mm firearm. You're going to hear, I submit to you, you'll hear that in the wire. And he states, and so the same day, I also had to go and, fire the gun just in case. So Jacksonville Sheriff's Office goes to the gun gallery, and lo and behold, on 12/20/2018, the defendant came and shot his 9mm firearm. That 9mm firearm was taken, and it is in custody, and you all will see that during this case. Another thing, too, to think about is you are going to hear that Dong Quay and parsley. And I submit parsley is a common thing that most people hear about for cooking, but a lot of people have not necessarily heard about Dong Quay. We're going to hear that if a woman takes those two items, you're going to hear from Dr. Thomas. She also did the sexual assault examination of IS back in March of 2018. You are going to hear that those two items combined can make a woman have a miscarriage. And you are going to hear from SS that that's what was given to IS and SS in regards to the Dong Quay and the parsley for IS to have a miscarriage. Because you're going to hear that there was a code name for the defendant. The code name for the defendant was Jose. That's how IS would refer to the romantic partner in her life, as Jose. But SS is going to tell you that Jose was in fact the defendant. Because when you even hear from IS's friends, they only knew the person to be Jose. They never knew who the person was either. This was a deep, guarded secret. But again, it was her uncle. And so what we're going to find out from those two items, they are found in the bedroom because IS and SS shared a bedroom. Now, what we're also going to learn, though, those two items were purchased on the defendant's Amazon account from their Wells Fargo bank account, was paid for in October of 2017. So again, going back to linking those items to the defendant. Now, the defendant talks about, I submit to you all, and the wire as well, about having an inappropriate sexual relationship with the defendant. In fact, at one point, even in the wire, I submit, you're going to hear, they ask, well, how did you manage to have sex with your wife around? And then the defendant's response, I submit that you will hear, just random spots. You know what I'm saying. Go to the store, in the car. And I submit to you this was going on during this 2018 year. Because there's another thing you're going to hear from SS. The defendant liked to talk to SS and IS on Snapchat. Not regular texting, not regular phone, but Snapchat. And SS is going to tell you the reason why is because Snapchat messages disappear. However, IS had more than one Snapchat account. She had XS Ayanna. Ayanna was a nickname of her first name. And then she had Princess 446. And ladies and gentlemen, submit to you that the defendant was using Princess 446 so nobody would know. And I submit to you, you're going to see these messages. And these messages are from 2018. And they show about the horrific sexual relationship the defendant was having with his niece. There will be indicators in those messages that it's clearly the defendant. You're going to hear about his wife, your mother, you're 16, you're going to go to college, can't believe you're pregnant, even telling her, I'll give you another child. So there's a lot, ladies and gentlemen, and obviously thinking about all of this too, you're going to hear from another inmate as well that says the defendant confessed to him. You're also going to hear that the defendant stated he never left work that day on December 19, 2018. However, it's going to be refuted, I submit you all. One, Ace video. The defendant leaves Ace at approximately 11:15 a.m. and is gone for about an hour and 15 minutes. And the time the IS leaves Terry Parker is about 11 a.m. And then you're also going to see that the defendant's timesheet also says that he never left that day. He told police that he never left work that day. But again, the physical evidence will refute that. So ladies and gentlemen, after you hear all the evidence, and again, it's going to be a lot. Think about the dates. Thinking about how each item, each person is bringing those puzzles to make that grand picture so we know what we're finally getting to. That defendant, again, with that statement of couldn't have her have the baby, because you're also going to hear that all of defendant's children look just like him. He knew he couldn't take that risk. So the defendant, I submit to you after all the evidence, it will show that the defendant had an inappropriate sexual relationship with his 15 and 16-year-old niece, and that familial custodial relationship of him being the uncle, and that when she got pregnant, she wasn't having an abortion, and he knew the consequences of his actions. It was at that time to get rid of the evidence. However, thankfully, based upon the evidence we'll present, coupled with the defendant's own statements, his own words, we submit, we are confident that the state of Florida has proved each count beyond a reasonable doubt, and we will ask each of you to render a verdict of guilty to all counts. Thank you.
So that was pretty strong. Next was the defense opening statements. See how they handle this, family.
Cannot say for certain that she went to Ace Pick-a-Part where Mr. Quillez worked. They're going to show you these videos. You're going to see it. What you're not going to see is IS at Ace Pick-a-Part. What you're not going to see is any blood of a crime scene where he's alleged to have murdered her there. What you're not going to see is an actual killing and the use of a gun to kill IS, as the state has alleged. You're not going to see it. Therefore, we believe they cannot meet their burden of premeditated murder. And therefore, we believe there will be reasonable doubt. But again, Mr. Quillez has entered a plea of not guilty in this case. Mr. Quillez sits there with us at this table, and he is innocent of any and all crimes until they can prove otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe after you hear all of this, they cannot meet that burden. During jury selection, we went over this time and time and time again. Mr. Quillez doesn't have to prove anything. Not one thing. The state, Mr. Skinner and Ms. French, are the ones that have to prove it. And the person and the people they have to prove it to is you, ladies and gentlemen. You are the trier of fact. You are the ones that have to be the ones to listen to the evidence and listen to the testimony and view the evidence. And the state has to prove to you that a crime was committed. And we submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, they can't meet that burden. Again, we brought up during jury selection and questioning as to reasonable doubt. And that should be in front of you there on the screen. Reasonable doubt is that is speculative, imaginary, or a forced doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, the state is going to present to you over the next week, week and a half, a voluminous amount of evidence. Please pay attention to all of this. Pay attention to their timeline. We believe that their own timeline isn't going to fit. Why is that? We believe you're going to hear testimony that she was actually seen on the day of and after when the state is alleging she's dead. That is reasonable doubt. They're saying she's dead, and people are saying they see her and are calling into the police to say that they've seen her. As the state has said, this started off as a runaway case. She was deemed a runaway and missing for a substantial period of time, more than a week, during the holidays. It isn't until approximately 3 weeks, close to a month, before they make a determination to go and search the Otis landfill. And we believe the testimony you're going to hear is after 3 weeks of searching, couldn't find the body. You are going to see items from Victoria's Secret that is said to have been found there. You're going to hear testimony that they believe that these items belong to IS. Ladies and gentlemen, these items that are found, that are Victoria's Secret, are sold in every Victoria's Secret store throughout the United States, if not the world. And we don't believe the state can actually prove that the items that they're going to show you, they believe are IS's, but they cannot prove for a fact that they are IS's. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that is reasonable doubt. It's speculative. You're going to hear from law enforcement witnesses. You were asked about all of this during voir dire. The fact that a witness is employed by law enforcement, he's just another witness. He's no better, no worse than anybody else that's going to take this stand. And you, ladies and gentlemen, will determine the truthfulness, the veracity, and the weight of the evidence and the testimony that they are going to be giving to you. They are no better, no worse than any other witness that takes a stand. They are human beings and they make mistakes just like everybody else. Now, this was brought up to you again during voir dire. The fact that if the defendant does not testify, meaning Mr. Quillez, if the defendant exercises his fundamental right to not testify, you cannot view this in any way, shape, or form as an admission of guilt. He has an absolute right to sit there and not say a word. Again, can't emphasize this enough. They have the burden. they must prove he committed a crime. And ladies and gentlemen, you of the jury should not ever be concerned that he doesn't make a statement, or even if he doesn't present any evidence. We live in the greatest country in the world, and I say that because in other countries throughout the world, you have to profess your innocence. We here in the United States don't. We don't have to prove anything. The state must prove that he's committed a crime. In other countries, that isn't so. You have to stand up and profess your innocence and say, I didn't do it. You don't have to do that here. They have to prove it. And we submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, again, they cannot meet that burden in this case. You will be able to evaluate the witnesses, the capacity and the opportunity of the witness to observe, whether it's the offender, on video, or whatever. At the time of the observation, the conditions at the time, whether it was day, night, raining, and the lighting in the distance. This is going to be critical in this. You are also going to be listening to a wire. Look at and listen to the fact of these people that they're presenting. They're inmates. Those inmates are looking to gain favor by testifying against Mr. Quilez in an effort to get a reduction in whatever case they have going on. And you are going to hear from them when the state calls them. And you're going to hear what they have to gain by giving their testimony. Please pay close attention to that, because they have something to gain. The state wants you to use your common sense. Absolutely. Use your common sense. But when you use your common sense, that doesn't mean that you check at the door and say, okay, just because I'm using my common sense, that relieves them of their burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Quilez has committed a crime. Okay. Pay attention to everything in this case. Hold the state to their burden beyond a reasonable doubt. Listen to the testimony. You're going to watch videos, you're going to listen to testimonies, listen to the recordings, and make the state prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. Some of the things you're not going to see in this case. The state will not be able to show you the body of IS, or that she's dead, and no remains were ever found. You are not going to see an actual crime scene at Ace Pick-a-Part, as the state is alleging. She was murdered there. You are going to hear from their testimony, into which they cannot say, after searching Ace Pick-a-Part multiple times, you're going to hear that they went there with cadaver dogs. Never found a body. Cadaver dogs gave hits, but remember, this is a place where vehicles are taken after multiple crashes. And people have been hurt in crashes or whatever. But they cannot say IS was actually killed at Ace Pick-a-Part. They want you to believe it, but they can't prove it. You are not going to see any blood at the scene that is related to IS. Again, you're not going to see that any physical evidence that a murder actually occurred there. And there will be no physical evidence to prove as to the manner of how the state is alleging IS died.
So we're gonna stop it there and move on. Basically, the defense is this. There was no body. There was no DNA nowhere of IS, Ayanna. So how can they say that his client committed anything? That's his defense. Now check out the cross-examination from Ayanna's mother.
Acted by homicide detective Billy Abbott.
Yes.
And is that when you learned that the investigation of her daughter had turned into a homicide investigation?
Yes.
And based upon your knowledge, had anyone seen her since December 19, 2018?
No.
Now, ma'am, I'm going to show you, which marked as State's Evidence 25, that's been stipulated into evidence. Ma'am, is your screen up?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I know we got a big screen, but you got a screen right beside you.
Members of the jury, are your TV monitors working? Okay. If at any point they're not working and you think they should be based off what your testimony is, just raise your hand, let me know so I don't have to keep asking you this.
Now, ma'am, in State's Evidence 25, are we looking at Terry Parker High School?
Yes, we are.
Now, ma'am, we just saw an individual in State's Evidence 25. Who was that person?
IS.
And is that from the last day that she was at school?
Yes, it is.
Now, ma'am, did you ever, or was IS's cell phone ever recovered?
No.
After speaking with Detective Abbott, were you informed that they were going to search the landfill?
Yes.
And were you asked to look at some of the items from the landfill?
Two.
Some of the items that were found from the landfill later on?
Later on.
However, while JSO was at the landfill, were you asked if you could describe any of the Victoria's Secret undergarments?
Yes.
Was there a time frame that you and your sister and yourself, and you can clarify which, I believe it was Jametta, or is it Paula?
Paula.
Thank you, I appreciate that. That you, Paula Mobley, and then your daughter IS, did the three of you get matching undergarments from Victoria's Secret?
Yes.
And did you describe those undergarments to police?
I did.
And were they for a specific seasonal time frame at Victoria's Secret?
It was.
And was that for Valentine's Day?
Yes, it was.
And have you ultimately had a chance to look at that undergarment that was found from the landfill? The actual item?
Yes.
And because of that item, did you then provide some items to JSO?
Yes.
So ma'am, I'm showing you state's evidence 45 and 46. Do you recognize them?
I do.
And how do you recognize state's evidence 45 and 46?
Because they're
Here,
my-
make sure, I'll stand up to make sure the microphone.
they were a gift from my sister.
And can you tell us what they are?
They're Victoria's Secret Valentine's Day underwear.
And are these the two items that you provided to JSO?
I did.
Now, were you shown the item like we talked about in state's evidence 42?
Yes.
And did you recognize state's evidence 42?
Yes.
What did you recognize state's evidence 42 to be?
Ayanna's IS underwear.
And that was, again, the matching pair to what you and your sister had.
It is.
Now, Ms. Mobley, just to be clear, these items, 45 and 46, were in your possession, correct?
Yes.
However, state's evidence 42 was from the landfill.
Yes.
I'm showing you now what's been marked and stipulated as state's evidence 43A. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
Now, is it a bra?
Yes, it is.
Is it from Victoria's Secret?
Yes, it is.
And did state's evidence 43 from the landfill look similar to a bra that IS had?
Yes.
Now, state's 43 is composite, where there's actually 3 bras. However, the only one that you recognize is the first one. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And again, I'll show you just to make sure. But the one that you feel more confident about is 43A?
Yes.
Okay. Next, Ms. Mobley, I'm showing you what's been marked and stipulated to as state's evidence 44. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
Are we looking at another bra?
Yes.
And is it a bra from Victoria's Secret?
Yes.
Who do you recognize state's evidence 44 to be?
IS.
And do you feel confident about state's evidence 43?
I do.
Now, ma'am, drawing your attention back to your residence, did you find something of interest in IS and SS bedroom?
I did.
And specifically in the closet area.
Yes.
And what were those items?
Pills.
And did you call police?
I did.
Did you have police come out?
Yes.
And did they take photographs?
They did.
And did they collect those items?
They did.
So next I'm going to show you what's been marked in as composite states 18. Now, at the time, were you living at 7834 India Avenue?
Yes.
And that's where IS was living as well?
Yes.
So I'm showing you states 18A. Can you tell us what we're looking at?
My house.
Now, in states 18B, can you tell me what we're looking at?
Yes. IS room.
Now, looks pretty messy. Tell us about that.
That was my doing. I was going through everything. I did let them know, the police officers, that I was going through everything, so it may be a little messy, but they told me to leave everything alone. But I went through books, shoes, blankets, closets, trying to find anything that could help locate her.
Now, what side of the room would be associated with IS?
D left.
And if you actually just take your finger, you can draw. Do you mind just circling? Yeah, take your finger, you can actually touch the screen. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
And so just to be clear for record purposes, is it fair to say, Ms. Mobley, that you have circled the bed that has hot pink and black bedding?
Yes.
Next in states 18C, is this just another view with some items picked up off the ground?
Yes.
Okay. Now in states evidence 18D, what can we see that she again, her favorite brand?
Pink, Victoria's Secret.
Now in states evidence 18E, can you describe what we're looking at?
Their closet.
When you say the closet, we're still in the bedroom of your daughters?
Yes.
Now, is there a certain item in the closet that caught your attention?
Yes.
Can you please circle that for us?
It's a shoebox.
Here, I'll let you start over, no worries. There you go. You said a shoebox.
Yes.
Is that an Adidas shoebox?
I don't recall the exact shoebox.
That's okay, no worries. What color is the shoebox?
I don't recall the exact shoebox.
That's okay. All right, let's keep looking here. States 18F, is that a closer view of shoebox?
Yes.
All right. Now I'm showing you states 18G. Do you recognize it?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
Because those are the items I called about.
So is that the shoebox that we're talking
Yes.
about? Does that help refresh your recollection? Yes. Now, are these the items that you found within that shoebox?
Yes, I did.
And what were those items?
Parsley and Donquay.
And was there some tissue paper, an old Foot Locker receipt, and then a shoe tag? Is that fair to say, ma'am?
Yes.
Was there anything else that was in that shoebox that's not depicted in states 18I?
No.
And did law enforcement come and take those items?
Yes, they did.
Now, again, I'm just asking you a very general question. Did you learn that those pills could be connected to the defendant and your daughter IS?
Yes.
Okay. And is that why you wanted law enforcement to have it?
Yes.
Now, did you physically touch those items?
I did.
And based upon that, were you asked to provide your DNA?
Yes.
Okay. And did you willingly provide your DNA?
I did.
Ms. Mobley, as we sit here today, September the 14th, 2023, have you had contact with your daughter, IS, in any format
No, I haven't.
since December 19th, 2018?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
I know that was a lot to uncover, family, but check out the state cross-examine. Miss Mobley, check it out.
Good morning. Let's start, if we can, with the day that IS went missing. The day that she went missing, you said and you testified that your daughter informed you, SS, that IS did not get on the bus. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you question SS about where IS might be?
Yes.
You did not receive any information as to what her whereabouts were outside of the fact that she did not get on the bus, correct?
Correct.
In fact, that continued, that there was no knowledge of where she might be, what could have happened, or anything outside of she just didn't get on the bus. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that went on for days and weeks, in fact.
Yes.
After IS went missing, you started searching, correct?
Yes.
You were doing whatever you could to try and locate her and find out where she might be. Correct? Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you so much. When you were searching, at some point did you come across, or did you try to search for her debit card usage?
Yes.
Okay. And did you in fact find that she had used her debit card the day she went missing?
We wasn't sure. It looked like there could have been a transaction, but I don't have direct access to her bank account. We wasn't sure.
Okay. And that bank account, was that one that I believe you testified to that was set up by her grandmother?
Yes.
Okay. And is that Miss Nancy Ware?
Yes, it is.
So she might have a little bit more information as to that credit card usage.
Yes.
As best as you can recall, though, do you recall that credit card potentially being used at a Wendy's?
Yes.
Okay. Did you follow up on that usage at the Wendy's? Did you go to that Wendy's?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you remember if you gave that information to police and asked them to follow up with that potential lead?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if they actually did in fact follow up with that to see if she had been to that Wendy's the day she went missing?
I want to say they looked into it.
Okay. Do you know what side of town that Wendy's was on?
I think the south side.
South side? East south side?
I think, yes.
Okay. Outside of that particular lead that you discovered in looking at her debit card usage, did you search other locations of where she might have gone and where she might have been?
Yes.
Okay. You were kind of doing that on your own, correct? It was just you and your family trying to find her.
Yes.
At that point in time, police weren't really doing the things that you all were doing. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And after she went missing, the police actually listed her as a runaway at that point, according to you.
Yes, I want to say.
Okay. And you're pretty upset with police. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes, I was a little upset because I didn't believe that she was a runaway.
Understood. And more specifically, were you upset because they weren't publicizing her being missing in the news and in the media?
I was upset because my daughter, she's pregnant, she's missing, and I didn't get a ton of updates immediately.
Okay. Do you recall actually calling into police and demanding that they do so, that they put her on the news and that they start to publicize that?
I called the sheriff's office and asked them about it.
Okay. And I mean, fair to say you were trying to do anything you could to get them to publicize her being missing. Is that fair to say?
Publicized, yes. I was trying to get updates.
And you had made flyers, you had posted it on social media, you were doing whatever you possibly could to get the fact out that she was missing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the background that you gave as far as where IS would stay. You stated that she was at your house. Obviously, she lived with you.
Yes.
She stayed with her Aunt Naomi and her Uncle Jonathan.
Yes.
But she also stayed at her grandparents' house in Georgia, correct?
Yes.
And she spent that whole summer before she went missing in Georgia with them.
Yes, she did.
And the date that you recall her coming back was July 7th of 2018, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and was that all 4 of your kids, or was that just IS and SS?
IS and SS who was out of town.
Okay. So when they came back, you said they came back for your mother's birthday party.
Yes.
And you remember that distinctly and confidently, that's the date.
Yes.
All right. And that, to you, is that the reason why, as you said, that you believe that that's the time period that she conceived the child that she was pregnant with when she went missing?
Yes, you said is that the reason
why you believe that's the time period that she conceived the child that she was pregnant with when she went missing?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also believe that she spent a lot of time at her Aunt Naomi's house and her Uncle Jonathan's house, and so that's part of the reason as well?
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about Jose. You stated that the person that she told you the father was Jose. Is that correct?
Yes, that was the name she gave me.
But she also gave you several other names.
It was another one that she did.
There were more than 2 names. Is that fair to say that she provided you with?
I don't recall. I think I know of at least 2.
Okay, maybe more?
I don't recall.
When you, at some point, I know you were trying to figure out who these people who she named as the father were. You were actually doing investigation to try and figure out who that might be, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you were calling people, talking to friends of friends to figure out who it could be.
Yes.
Okay. At some point, did you find and give information to police that you believe that IS and Jose were together in Azalea Ridge Apartments where Willie Sawyer, her father, was living at the time?
I don't recall.
You don't remember giving that information to police?
If I did, anything that I heard or seen, anything that I heard, I gave to the police. It was a lot of things, like if I hear this, see this, if I see somebody on Facebook or social media making comments, I gave it all to the police. I don't remember every single thing, but I did turn it over to police, anything I thought that may be useful.
Understood. As far as Jose, did you also at that time believe him to be, and I'm quoting, a Hispanic and black male?
Hispanic.
Okay, the black male portion, you don't recall that?
I don't recall.
Okay, you don't recall him being described as being mixed in any way?
I just know she said Puerto Rican.
Okay. And you don't specifically remember anything as it relates to Jose residing in the Azalea Ridge Apartments?
Not that I can recall of.
All right. You talked about your feelings about finding out that IS was pregnant. You said you were upset at first, but you decided to be supportive of her.
Yes.
When you were upset, I imagine that you were pretty irate to find out that your 15, 16-year-old daughter was pregnant.
I was shocked.
Did you yell at IS about that?
I did not yell at her.
Did you call her any derogatory names?
Not directly, no. If I vented a little bit, it'd probably been my sister, but to be honest, I thought it was a prank.
Okay. You talked about finding out that she was pregnant. You believe it was in December.
Yes.
December 3rd specifically, maybe even. Do you recall that as the date?
December 3rd.
And then 10 days later, you set the appointment, and that's when you all confirmed that she was, in fact, pregnant and 5 months pregnant?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to, well, you mentioned during your direct examination that accusations had been made about who the father was and that you made the accusation. It came from you that it was Jonathan Quilles who was the father.
Yes, I was one. Yes.
I'm sorry, repeat yourself?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And that accusation, you say you made that after you find out that she was pregnant?
Yes.
Okay. Had there ever been any accusations prior to that of Jonathan Quilles having any sort of sexual relationship with IS?
You said prior to it?
Prior to IS getting pregnant?
Not that I recall.
Okay, let's talk about Kamar Humphrey. Do you recall when Kamar Humphrey, how you found out that Kamar Humphrey had sexually battered IS?
Battered?
That he sexually assaulted IS?
That's it, yes.
How did you find that out?
I found out through my son.
Okay. At that point, you did in fact report that to police?
I did.
And you asked police to investigate that?
I did.
You provided them all the information that you could as far as what you knew about that situation?
Yes.
You mentioned, when you were asked actually, whether you had seen him any after that. And you stated that you don't think you did, you think he moved away.
Yes.
Do you remember when he moved away?
No, I think it was like very shortly after like the situation where I called the cops on him.
So according to you, Kamar Humphrey was not living as your next door neighbor or across the street at the time that IS went missing?
I said, no, at the time she went missing, I don't think he was.
Okay. And did you know him? Did you know him well?
No.
Okay. Had you seen or talked to him before?
Yeah, he used to play basketball outside sometimes with my kids.
Okay. So outside of seeing him playing basketball with your kids outside, you didn't know anything else about him. Had you ever had any personal personal conversations with him?
No. Not like, no, just like when, at the time I called the cops, but outside of that, no.
So you actually confronted him about that situation when you called the cops?
Yes, I asked him about it.
Okay. And after that situation with Mr. Humphrey, isn't it true that accusations that there was a sexual relationship between Jonathan Quilles and IS come out at that time?
After Humphrey?
Yes, around that time period.
I don't recall.
Following that time period and going throughout that entire year, you stated that your kids would continue to spend time at their Aunt Naomi and Uncle Jonathan's house, correct?
So, yes.
Okay. As far as Kamar's relationship with IS, outside of that one incident that you found out about and reported to police, were you aware of their relationship, of maintaining like a continuous relationship between them?
No.
Okay. And you don't actually know when or if there was any sort of relationship that happened or occurred after that?
Not to my knowledge, it wasn't.
All right, I want to talk to you about the items of evidence that you were shown. The first was the underwear, the Valentine's Day underwear as you described them, correct?
Yes.
All right. That and the bras, those bras that you identified or believe belong to IS, you cannot, as you sit here today, say for certain that those items belong to IS.
They look like the items that she have.
Exactly, thank you. They look like items that you knew to have she had in her possession, but as far as knowing that those are hers, you cannot say that.
Well, the underwear, I could definitely say that they look exactly like the ones that she had.
Okay, and that's fine. You can definitely say it looks like the ones she had.
Yes.
Okay. As far as the size, do you know what size those underwear were? The ones that are in evidence right there.
I don't know what size they are.
If I told you they were a large, is that IS's size?
Ayanna picked up a little bit of weight with her pregnancy. She did sometimes. That's not her regular size is a large, but if she really wants something like boy shorts or even regular clothes, she will upsize. She didn't care.
All right. When you said she was quite thin, so what would her normal size be?
I don't recall. I have to go back and look at my planner.
You don't know if your child was a small, medium?
It was either, I'm not sure, maybe a medium, I'm not sure.
When those underwear were purchased with you, I believe your sister, you said it was a gift, and for IS, was that when she was pregnant, or was that prior to when she was pregnant that you guys obtained those underwear?
Before she was pregnant.
Okay, would that have been, you said Valentine's Day, would that have been February around Valentine's Day? So that was well before she got pregnant?
Yes.
Okay, so when you say she picked up a little weight, you're talking about during pregnancy, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so at that time, she would have been maybe a medium, according to you?
She could have been.
Okay, so if those underwear are a large that you identified, that would not be her size, correct?
I wouldn't say that because she do wear large underwear, boy shorts, and like I said earlier, she do tend to wear larger clothing. She takes my clothing.
All right, let's talk about a couple other things. As far as, well, let me ask you another follow-up question. I apologize. Let me back up just a little bit. You set the appointment to confirm IS's pregnancy, correct?
Yes.
And when you went there, you actually asked them to do a which would confirm the sex of the baby.
I actually I got a referral to have it done.
Okay, and so the doctor did send that referral out for you all, and that's how you were able to confirm that it was a girl or a boy?
Yes.
Okay. Did you guys do any blood work or anything like that, or was there anything that you requested specifically to find out who the father may be?
No, we just took her to find out what the sex of the baby was.
Okay. There was nothing else, there's no DNA or anything like that to confirm who it is. So as you sit here today, you do not know who the father of IS's unborn child was?
Can you rephrase?
I'll repeat it. You want me to rephrase or
yes.
Repeat what I said? Okay, let me try again.
Sure.
Okay. You don't have any DNA nor anything else to confirm who the father of IS's unborn child is, correct?
I don't personally have DNA, no.
Okay. Did you know IS to be in any other relationships? I mean, like boyfriend, girlfriend type of relationships during that time period?
No.
Okay. And was that something that she would have confided in you about? Is that the type of conversations you all would have?
We had all type of conversations, but I wasn't aware of any boyfriend.
Okay. Fair to say that might be something she wouldn't share with you? If it's not, you can say she would share with me. That's fine if that's how you feel.
I think to a certain extent she may.
All right, I want to talk about the last thing you identified. You said that you had been searching IS and SS's room for any evidence of where she might be, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall finding items? I know you said there were several places that you tried to look and you can't recall all of them. Do you recall specifically locating some address that you believed IS could possibly be at? Do you remember this?
Yes.
Okay. Did you follow up on that yourself?
I did.
Okay. Did that lead to anything as far as there may be someone that she was with at that time?
No.
Okay. As far as you know, that address that you listed and that you found it did belong to a person, correct?
A lady.
Okay. It was a lady and she had children, correct?
Yes.
And those children there, they denied having anything to do with IS's disappearance.
Correct.
Did you provide that information to police?
Yes.
Did they follow up on that?
I don't know.
To your knowledge, no, or you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. And the other thing that you talked about finding in the very end there was that shoebox. That shoebox, we saw pictures of it, was in the top right-hand corner of the closet that IS and SS shared, correct?
Yes.
And that box had been there since IS had gone missing. Is that fair to say?
I don't know. I was just going through their room. I'm assuming yes.
Okay. It didn't look disturbed in the picture, so I'm asking, did you move that there? Did you put it there? Or was that somehow you found it?
Oh, it was there. I went through the shoebox.
Okay, that's what I was asking. So
Yes, sorry.
where is pictured it, or where you see it in the photo is where you found it?
Yes.
And obviously you'd taken it down and looked in it,
Yes.
but then you returned it back to the spot before police arrived and looked through it. Is that correct?
I don't recall.
You can't recall if you put it back there or not?
I'm not 100% sure. I just remember taking out the box. I pretty much tearing out the room, looking through everything. I just know I think they asked where did I get the items from. I'm not 100% sure. I don't recall.
Fair enough, and that's okay. As far as the pills that were found inside that box, your DNA is on those pills.
Yes.
No one else's DNA is on that pill, on those pill bottles, as far as you know.
Oh.
You said no? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I know mine's probably on it because I touched it.
Okay. But as far as anyone else's DNA, you're not aware of anybody else's DNA being on those pill bottles?
I don't recall.
Okay. And that was found several months even after IS went missing. Is that fair to say?
I don't recall how long ago it was, like prior, after she went missing.
Okay. Was it quite some time after she went missing, or was it immediately after she went missing?
It wasn't immediately, like the next week or so. I don't remember.
Okay. You can't remember if it was weeks or if it had been a couple months or anything like that?
I don't remember.
Okay. And I'm assuming you did report it to police, so the day that you reported it to police would be the day that you found it?
Yes.
Okay. So if law enforcement told us that it was months later, that would probably be the most accurate, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And those pill bottles, did you, had you ever seen them before?
No.
Okay. And I assume you asked your other daughter, SS, since it's in her closet, about that?
Yes.
And about their room, they both had beds in that room. I know we couldn't see two beds, but there are two beds in that bedroom photograph that we saw, correct?
Yes.
And I know you circled the one side that was IS's. The side that you can't really see, that's where SS was sleeping.
Yes.
That closet, however, that we saw, that's a shared closet that both of them used.
Yes.
Okay. And so you don't know for certain whether or not those pill bottles belong to SS, if she had put them there, or if IS had put them there?
I don't recall when I asked her.
And you said that I know it was a little messy and you had gone through a lot of stuff. At some point, police told you, don't do anything else, don't touch anything else, leave it as it is. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you after that touch anything else in that area?
After they told me not to?
Correct.
No.
Okay, you didn't disturb anything further?
No, I left out the room.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor. Just one other follow-up question. In your search and in trying to figure out where IS might have been, do you recall there being a plane ticket found at some point?
I remember something about one, but I don't remember detail. I just remember something about it. I don't know details or anything.
Okay, that sounds familiar to you, though, that there was
I think
a plane ticket.
Heard one time.
Sorry, I didn't finish the question, so let me just finish it. You do recall hearing something about a plane ticket being found in relation to IS going missing?
I heard something in regards to a plane ticket, but I don't remember.
You don't remember the details?
Yes.
of like where it was, at exact dates, those type of
I
things?
do not recall.
Understood. Would that have been information that you provided to law enforcement?
I don't recall.
Okay. I don't have anything further, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Mobley, did you ever receive any information that your daughter took a plane flight?
I don't recall.
Were you going to do a DNA test of the baby after it was born?
It would have been more so like Ayanna's IS decision.
Did you want to learn who the father was?
Yes.
Because your daughter was underage.
Yes.
And so was that something to be addressed once the baby was born?
Yes.
During the time frame of between March 2018 and December 2018, did you have any after reporting Kamar Humphrey to the police, did you have any problems with Kamar Humphrey?
Yes, before.
Just from the situation that you called the police on?
Yeah, it was just a little tension between the households.
Did you, though, have any issues with Kamar Humphrey after reporting him to the police?
No.
And the accusation against the defendant being the father of IS's baby was prior to December 19, 2018.
Can you repeat that?
No problem. Did you accuse the defendant of fathering your daughter's child prior to IS leaving Terry Parker on that December 19th date?
Yes, it was, yes.
Prior to December 19, 2018, had your daughter ever went anywhere without your knowledge?
No.
Had she ever gone away for the night without your knowledge?
No.
Was this completely out of normal?
Completely, yes.
No further questions.
So now, I feel like y'all got the basics of the case. Y'all just waiting for the conclusion. Now check out these text messages read by the sheriff from the alleged defendant's cell phone, in which he thought was deleted.
I'm coming for a kiss.
And the next one, please.
8/19/2018, 2:55. Free man, LOL, inside joke.
And the next one.
8/19/2018, 2:57. I'm so glad I don't have to worry about trusting anymore, because at the end of the day, everyone is always out for themselves. So I'll be just the same way. FT, I'm not important enough to do so. You keep cheating on me, and I'm done with you, so stay in your feelings as long as you need to be. I finished with all my stressing and crying over you. I'm good.
And the next message, please.
It's 8/20/2018 at 1:06. It's so funny how you mess up and you decide that you're going to be mad at me because I don't trust you no more and don't want you no more either. This could have all been avoided, but you choose this. This is what you wanted, so now you got it. I just wish I didn't feel so much for you, because you wouldn't be a issue for me to get over. But as I always say, it's just a feeling that will pass in time.
And the next message.
8/20/2018, 1:09. You're just making it all so easy for me to just leave you alone. Goodbye, Ayanna. I think you should take the bus back home from now on. You seem to have it all figured out.
And Detective Abbott, through your investigation with speaking with family members, is Yana an abbreviation for Ayanna?
Yes.
And the next one, please.
The next one is 8/20/2018, 1:21, and it is a photograph.
And what does it say?
The face of a cheater.
And have you seen this image before?
Yes.
And where was that located?
On the defendant's cell phone.
And do you recall the date?
No.
Would that, though, the date be in the records?
Yes. We read it off yesterday. I don't remember what it was.
Okay, no problem. However, did that picture have a saying on it?
No.
And does this picture have a saying?
Yes.
And what is that saying?
The face of a cheater.
And who's the picture of?
IS.
And the next message, please.
8/20/2018, 122. Nah, I'm not going to even bother. I hope it was worth it.
And the next entry, please.
8/20/2018, 124. And now you're talking to someone else behind my back again too. And you wanted to be married to me. Wow.
And the next message, please.
8/20/2018 at 125. You tell me you're a liar. You just can't stay with one person at all, huh? And I also found out the truth about what you were coming to wear over her. That's why your mom flips on you.
And the next entry.
8/20/2018, 132. I can't be bothered with you no more. You can keep the truth all the way to your grave, but just know, I know, and that's it. Just because I'm not acting crazy over it, don't make it hurt any less. There is many things I keep to myself, so like I said, I'm just done with you and your unloyal, dishonest self, and I hope it was worth every bit of it because I truly loved the hell out of you, and now I'm trying to get over you.
And the next entry, please.
8/20/2018, 8/26. Yeah, I can't keep this up with you. You know exactly what you did with him, but you'll never admit it, so I'm good. Whenever you get ready to tell me the truth, you will, and see how much further we will go. But until then, this is what it is.
And the next entry.
Okay. 8/23/2018, 3/13. I lied about not liking Maya and wanting to do things with her. I started the whole thing. I told you that I was only talking to you, but I was also talking to Maya. The only reason we didn't, it is another screenshot of a text message from Uncle John.
And could you just read the bubbles, please?
So yes. Yeah, text your aunt too, love. What's wrong, baby? Snap me. Yeah. Talk to me. Why are you crying? Hello. WTF, yeah. What happened from when we was talking to now? Are you serious right now? Okay then, GN, I love you. And then at the bottom you can make out that it says, I knocked out.
And the next entry.
8/26/2018, 11/19. LOL, you will be my best friend. Went, you're pregnant. I'll cook for you until you can't eat no more.
And the next entry.
8/27/2018, 101. Because I want to take care of you. (12/4/2018, 4:05). You don't have time for me at all anymore. That's what it all seems like. So I'm taking your...
Be careful with the wording.
So I'm taking you didn't want the ring from me.
And the next entry, Detective.
12/5/2018 at 2:24. Well, I don't have a GF no more, so I know what you feeling.
And the last entry.
12/5/2018, 3:27. Like what way? I know you don't want to be with me no more, so I'm assuming that you have someone else who you might be in mind or giving your time to, since you not giving it to me.
Now, a lot of people be concerned on where the dad was before we wrap it up. He made his appearance and he stepped up on the stand, and this is what he had to say. We'll keep this under 9 minutes.
Don't answer the question until I rule on the objection, and then we'll go from there. That said, state your main inquiry. You're ready.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Good afternoon, actually.
Good afternoon.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Willie Sawyer, Ayanna's father.
And does she share the same last name as you?
Yes.
Okay. Just moving forward, we'll refer to her as IS. So thank you, sir, for telling us, though.
Okay.
Is she your only daughter?
No, I have 2 daughters.
And does your other daughter have the initials SS?
Yes.
And who is their mother, Kim Mobley?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you generally live here in Duval County?
Yes.
And how long have you lived here in Duval County?
Almost all my life, 20-some years, plus years.
And what do you do for a living?
I actually do all types of stuff, handyman.
Do you have, and you talked about your 2 daughters, do you have other children?
Yes, my stepkids. I have 4.
Now, back in 2018, did your daughters live with you or their mother?
Their mother.
And did you have a good relationship with IS and SS?
Yes.
Now, where do your parents live?
They stay in Columbus, Georgia.
And is that Nancy and Clifford where?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you go visit them?
Often, every now and then.
When you get the time off, probably.
Get the time off.
6 kids can keep you busy, that's for sure. Yeah. Yes, sir. Now, were there times that you would take your children, including IS and SS, up to Georgia?
Yes.
And in the summer of 2018, did you take your children to Georgia?
Yes.
And when you all were in Georgia, were you all focused on the family?
Pretty much, yes.
And were the activities family-based?
Yes.
Now, at some point, sir, before I get to that, actually, would IS come over and visit you?
Yes.
How often do you think that she would actually stay the night at your house?
It was mostly weekends.
And as she got older, was it a little less?
Yeah, a little less.
However, did you maintain communication with her?
No longer than 2 weeks the most.
And so you would not go longer than 2 weeks without speaking to your daughter? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Would that include SS as well?
Yes.
And how would you communicate with IS?
It's both texting and phone calls.
Did you ever use any social media to contact her?
We had social media, but never really on social media. I call her or text her.
Yes, sir. Now, in December of 2018, do you recall the last time you had seen her?
The last time I actually seen her is when she was in Georgia. Okay. That was the last.
So that would have been the summertime of 2018?
Yes.
And I think you said, though, you had communicated her about 2 weeks prior to why we're here today?
Yes.
Now, did you learn that IS was pregnant?
Yes, I did.
Who told you IS was pregnant?
My mother.
And is that Nancy Ware?
Yes.
Did you have an opportunity, without going in statements, to speak with IS about it?
No.
Now, how did you find out that IS never came home from school on December 19th, 2018?
My kid's mother and my child actually called me and let me know.
Would that be SS?
Yes.
I just want to make sure you did not hear from, did you hear from IS on that day?
Maya? Yes, I heard from Maya.
And is that a nickname for SS?
Yes.
That's okay. I know it's difficult. You don't refer to your child with initials. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. So I know it's odd. So I appreciate your patience with that. Just to be clear, you heard from your daughter SS on that day.
Yes.
Did you hear from IS on that December 19th day?
No.
After you learned that she did not come home from school, did you attempt to contact her?
Yes.
And was that through the telephone?
Yes.
Were you able to?
No.
Did you help look for IS?
Yes.
May I just have one moment? So my last question for you, sir. Have you had any contact with IS since she left Terry Parker High School early on December 19, 2018? When I say contact, sir, I mean letter, email, phone, social media, through a third party. Any contact, Mr. Sawyer, with your daughter?
No.
No further questions.
Oh, you're fine. Go for it.
Good afternoon, sir. I'll be brief. Second to last question to you was, did you help search for IS after she went missing? And you said you did.
Yes.
In fact, you actually looked where you lived at that time, correct?
Yes.
And can you tell us the name of the apartments that you lived at that time, what they were called?
Azalea Ridge.
Okay, at the Azalea Ridge apartments, you searched around and talked to people to try and find out if IS had been there, if they had seen her.
Yes.
Okay. Was that based on information that you received that she had been there?
Not really. I was just looking anywhere.
Did you ever?
The
Sorry.
The
Go
school,
ahead and finish.
The school is pretty much right by the apartment, so.
Okay, and you're within 5 minutes of the school, Terry Parker School.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever receive information that IS was believed to be at your apartments?
Yes.
Okay. And so you searched before you found that out, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. After you found out that she was believed to be where your apartments were, did you search again? Did you go around and talk to people?
Yes.
Okay. Did you interact with anybody that knew her?
I tried to, but I never got a chance to reach that person.
Okay. So there was a person there that you believe knew IS, but you never did get a hold of them, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that person, to this day, you've never been able to get a hold of them to find out anything?
No.
Okay. Did you provide that information to police?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know if police followed up on that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. As far as you know, they didn't, but you're not sure. Is that correct?
Yes.
One moment. You talked about your parents. Your parents, they have a great relationship with your daughters, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you said that the last time you had seen IS in person was when they were spending the summer of 2018 with your parents in Columbus, Georgia.
Yes.
Okay, and you actually were there in Georgia with them, visiting during that time period that they were staying with them.
Yes.
Okay, after that, the only contact you had with them was on the phone or text.
Yes.
Okay. And sir, do you know who Jonathan Quilles is?
I met him one time ever in my life.
Okay,
Yes.
so you've never really known him in any capacity outside of the one once meeting him?
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever heard any allegations, any accusations, or anything along those lines of Jonathan Quilles having a sexual relationship with your daughter, IS?
No.
Now, in less than 9 minutes, he told you his relationship with his daughter, as far as their communication. He also said he wasn't informed of these allegations prior to the indictment, which came months later. Now I gotta ask, y'all gotta let me know. The verdict come any day now, tomorrow or possibly Friday or even Monday. Based on the information provided, do you guys think he's guilty? Let me know in the comments. Or do you guys think he's innocent? I'll make sure I leave my answer in the comment as well. With that being said, I appreciate you guys for checking this out. If you got thus far, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.